So this video is designed to help you to quickly and accurately prepare your job interview with Amazon using the more commonly asked questions list, that is the revised one for 2021. Now, before we begin, let me just emphasize the importance of coming up with great stories. So great story means your best experiences always, okay? You'll be better off with a handful of great stories when compared to preparing different stories for any possible question or, I don't know, leadership principle. The most commonly asked question in Amazon interviews by far is tell me about yourself. And this of course might also include some variations such as what's your story, or tell me something interesting about you that's not in your CV. Right? Also interesting here, it's not uncommon to get asked this same question at the beginning of each interview round, even if you have 5 rounds. Here is a quick example for you. I always loved finding solutions to challenging problems. 2 years ago, I cold called John X, the business brain behind a major crypto platform, pitching my idea for a new protocol to allow even non-technical people to easily build a business logic using crypto. Thousands have signed up since we launched it. My background is a technical one. I graduated from a technical university with a degree in computer science. During the first 2 years, I worked as a developer and then quickly went through the ranks to become a technical PM. I then decided the management track would be more suitable to continue with my career. And for the past 10 years, I've been managing teams for various projects and industries, including in insurance and financial services, which I believe are also key for the role that I'm applying for. During this time, I got promoted to a principal advisory role and became the go-to person for all major challenges and initiatives in my company. Right now, I'm looking for a role with an even broader set of responsibilities and scale. Next, the second most commonly asked question in Amazon interviews in 2021 is why Amazon? Why you, or why this role, or where do you see yourself in 5 years? All right, now, how do you go about answering these types of questions? So the best approach is to maybe consider all these variations and to try to blend them together to form your best answer. Let's look at an example here. So I'd like to say flat out that I really do want to work here. This is a company with an exceptional culture that has been going from strength to strength, and I believe that I can bring my unique engineering perspective from a hyperscaler to your SA team. I've been in enterprise-facing solution architecture roles for 13 years now, and in the IT industry since 2002. My current job is with RandomSoft in role X, primarily supporting Business One and Company X. My role is quite unique in that it's a pre-sales function that sits inside of Microsoft Azure Engineering, which gives me an in-depth understanding of the inner workings of the platform and allows me to bring this knowledge to make customers succeed. It's a two-way street, as I also synthesize and feed our customers' feedback to Azure Engineering to constantly improve the platform. What I've learned about what Amazon is doing in the area of cloud computing is really exciting to me, and I'm very enthusiastic about the possibility of working here, and I of course hope I can help you to understand my qualifications today. The third most commonly asked question in Amazon interviews is, what's your most successful project? In my opinion, this should go without saying. It's the minimum for you to prepare for a job interview. We all have some highlights in our careers, and this is the moment to sell yourself on them. For example, in my previous venture, we developed orthodontic appliances for complex dental treatments. Soon after starting the development process and trialing our products with dentists, I realized that I had underestimated the complexity of the operation. I felt that my lack of subject matter expertise played a role in decision making. So I decided to spend 1 year to learn all there is to know about orthodontics. This proved to be the right approach, and I made a multi-million-dollar exit. Fourth most commonly asked question in Amazon interviews is around customers. And there are, of course, many types of questions around working with customers, but the most commonly asked of them is, tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult customer. Quickly, if you're wondering why questions around customers are so popular in Amazon interviews, that's certainly because most roles at Amazon, and AWS included, or I should say AWS in particular here, involve working directly with customers. Even if you're not supposed to work with a customer directly, still you might as well have an internal customer to keep happy. Due to distributed denial of service prevention issues, 6 months before the launch of banking software X, company Y, which was the customer, was overspending twice on cloud and risked of not being able to deliver in 2017. I escalated and tried the situation with Microsoft Engineering, and the fix was not going to be available on time. I came up with a plan to work around the platform issue via deep patching of the customer's code and communicated it to company Y, setting up daily crisis calls and holding fortnightly updates with Microsoft Engineering on the status of the permanent fix, generally ensuring I was contactable 24/7 during that period. I negotiated with Microsoft HQ software engineers to fly down to help patch the customer's code, cloud credits to cover cost overruns, and organized access for at-scale DDoS testing. With the workarounds in place, the 2017 run of Banking Software X was conducted without a glitch, and over time the trust in the platform was restored. So fifth most commonly asked question in job interviews with Amazon is a new entry here. What's your favorite leadership principle? Or if you want, which leadership principle do you connect the best with? Here, the best way to answer this would be to simply use your best story, that success you just prepared at point 3, and maybe to then highlight on the principle or even principles, if you want, which you believe are the most relevant. In that example, it was for ownership. Here, since we already have an example, let me just quickly tell you about the 2 common mistakes you want to avoid at all costs in these interviews. First of them is you should avoid vague answers or vague stories. Like, for example, I like a lot to take ownership on my projects, and my manager always commended me for this. This is not a story, okay? So instead, you could use this as an introductory statement at best if you want, and of course to win a little bit of time as well. So maybe you'd continue something on the lines of, and I remember a very good example being a project I completed 3 months ago, and then you'd continue with your star answer. Okay, Amazon loves star answers. The second aspect I wanted you to pay attention here with your answer is clarity of thought. So there are so many of you incredibly talented candidates who struggle to communicate your ideas. What actually happens here is, unfortunately, your interviewer will have no choice but to start making assumptions or expedite the interview altogether because they don't understand you. And this is often not in your best interest, right? So if you know yourself struggling to communicate the ideas you want to transmit, and I know plenty of you are, try revising your stories until they sound great to you, okay? Try role-playing your answers with someone, try speaking them in the mirror. There are various methods, but really focus on communicating the idea you want to transmit clearly. As a closing note here, many of you prepping the behavioral part of the interview assume this is a one-time effort or something you have to pass, when in fact behavioral interviewing skills is in many cases a significant competitive advantage in a job interview. For example, you may not be an extraordinary subject matter expert, or you may lack some sort of experience for the role that you're applying for. But if you manage to wow them on the behavioral part, this will compensate for other areas. Okay, so for instance, if your interview is 70% technical and only 30% behavioral, that 30% of your interview, if you do it well, if you perform well, will significantly increase your chances to get an offer, to differentiate from other candidates. Thank you very much, and I wish you good luck with your interview.